What is up, gamers? Welcome to the channel. I hope you're doing well. Today, guess what? I'm bringing you another tier list. That's right. This one is going to be about the advanced Foundry units, and I already have a whole bunch of other tier lists made already. So if you haven't seen those yet, please go check those out. I'll be doing a card with the playlist to those videos, so please check that out. Also, I want you guys to know that I've been streaming more lately, so I should be back on tonight as well streaming. So if you're around, keep an eye out for that. Please feel free to stop by and check it out. If you have any questions about the game or anything, I'd be more than happy to talk and answer those for you. Also, if you want any tips and tricks, again, feel free to stop by, and I'm happy to help out with this game in any way possible. So that should be a ton of fun. Anyways, let's jump into this tier list. We got the advanced Foundry units. So first up, we're going to start with the Advanced Blink. I really enjoy the Advanced Blink. I've had a lot of fun with them. They're very strong units, very tanky, and have a lot of DPS on them. Easy to mass these up because of how cheap they are, so you can get a pretty big group of these pretty quick. And these guys will kind of mow down anything pretty much, except for, they have the weakness to AoE units. So you got to be a bit careful in those matchups. If your opponent is massing up a whole bunch of AoE units, they can take these out pretty quick. But if your opponent doesn't have enough of them, these guys will just run them over. I actually just had a game last night going up against these things, and I had a whole bunch of shockers massed up, and apparently I didn't have enough. My opponent had a whole bunch of these advanced blinks, and literally just jumped, teleported across the map, and jumped right onto my shockers, and took them out pretty quickly. So my shockers didn't seem to have much of a chance against them. So I really like these, especially because of how tanky they are, and just having that blink ability to jump around the map really helps in that regard as well. Sometimes the problem I have with my tank units is a lot of times they're so big and bulky and slow that they kind of hold up the progress of the rest of my army when I have them all grouped up together. So it's cool having a tanky unit that's also so mobile with the these advanced blinks. So very good for that. I think they're very good in the A spot. So let's move on to the next one here. We got the Heavy Ballista, and the Heavy Ballista, I think I'm gonna have to put that in the S tier. Heavy Ballista, I think, is just a little bit better than the Advanced Blink here. Because of the AoE damage. I really like the AoE damage in this game. I feel like you have to have that because otherwise it's just so easy, for people to mass up these big armies, big groups of units and whatnot. It's just so hard to deal with that unless you have a really good AoE damage unit. It's really nice how tanky the Heavy Ballista is as well. It's a pretty tanky unit for the most part, so you can kind of get away with it as, kind of a semi-tank or whatnot. It's obviously nowhere near the tankiness of, the Crusader Mammoth, and even the Advanced Blink, I think, like, pound for pound is, more tanky. But the Heavy Ballista can hold its own and whatnot, but obviously the big power of this unit is that AoE damage. It's just the DPS on it is through the roof, and it's all AoE as well. And so if you get a couple of these together, or even group up 3 or 4 of these together, it's like they can just mow everything down, everything that stands in their way. So the only downside or drawback to this unit, I feel, is the just how big and bulky they are, each of them. So it's actually very difficult to maneuver these around the map just because of how big they are, and they're very slow too, of course. But if you do have 4 or 5 of them together and you're trying to move them into position to face your opponent's army, it can be pretty hard to do that with how slow and big and bulky they are. So that's something you got to be aware of and try to really spread them out, but also not spreading them out too much because you don't want to get picked off and all that. So it is difficult to use in that regard, but honestly, once you get enough of these, they'll make short work of everything pretty much. So that's the Heavy Ballista, probably my top unit for the Advanced Foundry. So we'll see as we move along here. So next up we have the Predator. I think I'll put the Predator in the B tier. The Predator, from what I've seen, I haven't used it too much myself, and I haven't seen it used too much by other people, but I haven't been all that impressed, honestly. It's good in the right situations, and it's good as a counter unit. It's good against air units, and that's something I should have mentioned about the Blink, the Advanced Blink. The Advanced Blink also has the ability to shoot up or down against air units or ground units. So That's another bonus for the advanced blink. And the Predator also shoots up and down against air and ground. So the Predator is good in that regard. That is, very versatile. Can be used against whatever your opponent's throwing at you. However, I just find its stats to be a little bit lacking, especially compared to something like the advanced blink. So I just can't put it on the same tier as that, in my opinion. But it's certainly not a bad unit or anything. So that's why I can't put it any lower than a B either. So. I've seen it used enough times, I think, that it's just fine if that's your only option. You should be able to make it work and get away with it, but it wouldn't be, my first selection or anything like that. So let's move on to the sniper here. Yeah, I think A is good for the sniper, a little below the advanced blink. I think the advanced blink is probably just one of my personal favorites, so you'll have to forgive my bias on that one. But the sniper, I haven't used that too much myself, and I've seen it used quite a bit actually by my opponents and by some other top players in the game, and it seems to do really well. Very effective, very good at what it's supposed to do. I hate going up against this thing because of how much range it has. It's got pretty good damage, but the range on it is just nuts. So I believe it's got one of the highest, if not the highest, range in the game. And obviously, just as the name suggests, it's supposed to be that long-range sniper unit to pick off your opponent's other, backline units. They're more important units that they might be trying to protect. And so it's super good for that reason. It's very good at countering mortars, so it's very good for that. It can pretty much counter just about any units. You're literally just using it as a sniper unit. You just have to be careful with them because they can get wiped out pretty quick if your opponent does manage to work their way around to ambush the sniper. So it's that classic, fragile unit in your backline, and you have to play protect the VIP or protect the president type of thing with this unit. I've seen this used very effectively, and so I think it's definitely worthy of the A tier. Next up, let's see, we got the Behemoth. I really like the Behemoth. It might even be my new favorite, actually. I'm going to have to even put this above the sniper. And you know what? I think I will put it above the advanced blink, actually. I've recently been using this a lot more, and I've just been liking it more and more the more I use it. The Behemoth is just a very good, solid unit and very good replacement for your core unit. So I think, the cool thing about the Behemoth is that it only costs that matter. It doesn't cost any energy. I believe it's 250 matter, and you can use this as a replacement for whatever your core units are. So if you're running wasps or scorpions, recalls, whatever you might be running in that core slot, usually those units fall off late game. They're not quite as effective or useful late game. They tend to be more squishy. You have to group them up, so then they're vulnerable to your opponent's AoE damage. They just fall off in the late game, and so then once you're able to finally get to that tier 3, these advanced units, it's pretty nice to have a replacement for those core units. So you can just start pumping out these behemoths then instead of your scorpions or recalls or whatever you're using. And so I just find it to be super good in that regard. But it's a very tanky unit, has decent damage, all around just has decent stats. It's actually somewhat quick too and fast. It's definitely a big and bulky unit, so it can be a little tough to maneuver around, but I feel it's got enough speed to kind of overcome that. But just overall, or all around solid unit, very good, and just I think it's the cost of it that makes it really stand out above the others. And so finally, it looks like we have the Assault Bot. And I think I'll put the Assault Bot in the B tier. Again, I haven't seen the Assault Bot used too much, and I haven't used it all that much myself either. But it's definitely not a bad unit, and it's very good for what it's supposed to do. This also, I believe, only costs matter, and I think it's 50 matter for this. And it's got really good DPS, but it's all single target DPS. So it's a good replacement for the core units they might have. You can replace the gun bots, the recalls, whatever, and it's gonna pump out way more DPS than those will. But it's not too tanky of a unit, and so you got to mass these up, and it's going to be vulnerable to your opponent's AoE damage. So I think that's the only thing kind of holding it back for me, in my opinion, is that by the time you're getting this, it's that advanced Foundry unit. So like by the time you're getting that, your opponent usually has some kind of mass AoE damage, and so it's just going to fall to those. It's going to fall over to the AoE damage. So for that reason, I think it's not quite as good as it could be. These later game units just need to be a bit more tanky to withstand that AoE damage. So it's just more difficult to use something like that otherwise. And I think that's going to do it for this one. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you soon in the next one.